Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC and Fox 12. Overall, I thought it was a good night of fights. Interestingly enough, 9 out of 12 fights actually went to decision. Not too many of them were like stinkers or anything like that. There are a couple fights that were a bit odd, a bit one-sided. None of them are total grinders or anything like that, though, which was good. So I thought it was a good night of fights, and the main card, especially the top 3 fights, really made the card really elevated the card. It was actually a good night for judging as well. You know, a lot of fair enough scorecards, maybe not too many like extremely egregious. I mean, the most egregious thing would be like Cummings getting like 30-27 over Kyle Kingsbury instead of like 30-26, 25. You know what I mean? Not getting 10-8 rounds. I mean, you can also kind of go with Green versus Thompson. Honestly, split decision either way was probably one of the more fair scorecards. I mean, if they said split decision Josh Thompson, it'd be fine. Split decision Bobby Green, fine. I mean, honestly, that's just the way the fight went. I thought that was fair enough. And yeah, we actually got to see a couple of 10-8s. Masvidal at Cruikshank. Judge gave Masvidal a 29-27 scorecard. Very interesting. You know, I think that's actually a positive to see something like that. You know, I think they should honestly be used a little more. 10-8s. I think definitely, especially if a guy has next to no offense and one guy has nothing but offense. Makes sense to me. My picks were pretty good. 9 out of 12 correct. The ones I missed were Noad Lahat versus Steven Siler, Bobby Green versus Josh Thompson, and Tim Means versus Hernani Perpetuo. Bonuses: Lawler versus Brown got fight of the night. Anthony Johnson and Dennis Bermudez got performance of the night. Let's get started. Robbie Lawler defeated Matt Brown by unanimous decision. You know, this was a great fight. You know, what can you say? It was technical, yet sometimes not so technical, gritty. It was really fun to watch. Both guys got like either wobbled or like, you know, badly damaged in the fight. So it was really good. Second round, Matt Brown was really getting those elbows and knees. I think he wobbled Robbie Lawler. One thing that was really interesting about the fight, though, was Matt Brown. He actually faked a low blow. He was hitting the body, and then they showed the replay. He was hitting the body, and then he just went for the low. He kind of did a flop, pretty much. But I will say Brown looked really impressive in defeat. I know his level of competition. He had a 6-fight win streak. His level of competition was good. I mean, he does have solid wins over like Mike Pyle and like Jordan Mean and Eric Silva. And he doesn't have top 10 wins. But I think this fight does kind of show, and a lot, in my opinion at least, I know a lot of people agree with this, that he is a top 10 talent. You know, one thing I was really impressed with Robbie Lawler was his counter striking. There were times when Matt Brown would overextend his punches and just get counter struck a lot with short strikes from Robbie Lawler. I like the improved wrestling from Matt Brown. His offensive wrestling looked pretty good. And his Muay Thai plum is downright excellent these days. You know, I mean, from there he'll get elbows, he'll get knees, and his elbows are pretty devastating. Or else he even dumped his opponent. I was actually kind of surprised that he managed to dump Robbie Lawler from the Muay Thai plum. But yeah, you know, Lawler showed a good kicking aim. He aimed for the body and the head, and like I said, I liked his counter striking ability as well. That's what stood out for me in particular against Lawler. Of course, his cardio looks just so much improved as well. He's always in the fight. You know, he's got a really good chin, really game. Both these guys are really game and gritty. So, you know, great fight. Lawler's going to get the title shot against Johnny Hendricks next. It's a fight I want to see, you know. Since a loss to Hendricks, you know, Lawler knocked out Jake Ellenberger. And then he beat Matt Brown in a 5-rounder. I mean, he just kind of just shows that he's ready for another shot. Matt Brown, a lot of good fights for him. You know, he got the loser of Tyron Woodley versus Dahyun Kim, the loser of Rory McDonald versus Safadine. If you don't want to keep him near the top 10, give him like the Thiago Alves. I know he's coming off a win, but they were supposed to do that fight before, and I think that'd be a cool fight. I don't know when Carlos Condit is returning, but I'd like to see Condit versus Matt Brown, if possible. The next fight after that, Anthony Johnson defeated Antonio Rogério Nogueira by TKO, 44 seconds in the first round. Dana White said that Johnson needs another fight and win before getting a title shot. I think the only logical fighters for him would be Glover Teixeira or the winner of OSP versus Bader. You could say Gustafsson. I don't think they're going to kill a contender in Gustafsson. I think Gustafsson probably gets the winner of Jones versus Cormier. And you could say like Rashad Evans, but Rashad Evans and Anthony Johnson train together. Everyone else, I mean, like you'd say like Shogun or Dan Henderson or something like that. He already beat Phil Davis. I think are just below where Anthony Johnson is at this point. What can you say about the fight, though? I mean, gosh, Nogueira got knocked out in 44 seconds. Uppercuts were the name of the finishing maneuvers, among other other type of really heavy punches. And Johnson definitely has some scary power. I mean, that's the thing. That guy hits hard. You know, he's just a much improved striker, and his takedown defense looked really good against Phil Davis. And I know he's a good offensive wrestler. He also, I don't know. I know this is gonna, sound repeated a lot, but it's just, how did that guy make 170? I mean, it's just, he looks bigger. He's a big light heavyweight now. I mean, Phil Davis is a big light heavyweight. He looked bigger than Phil Davis, you know? It's crazy. Yeah. So, nice to see. The light heavyweight division needed Anthony Rumble Johnson, too. I always say that the division, it's still a relatively weak division. If arguably one of the number 1, number 2, maybe the third weakest division in the UFC right now. It's just, there's a huge disparity between the top of the top and the middle of the pack, and the fact that there's like Alir Latifi is probably one of your best up and comers in the division. Like, I'm not kidding. You know, I like the guy actually. It's just that, like, you know, it kind of goes to show that, like, it's just not a very strong division. There's not even a lot of guys. There's not a lot of fighters in their 20s in that division. With that said, I gotta wonder if Nogueira should consider retirement. He looks old. He looks slow. He's 38. But if not, him versus Shogun makes the most sense. And like I said, with Johnson, either like Glover Teixeira or the winner of OSP versus Bader. Next fight after that, Dennis Bermudez defeated Clay Guida by rear naked choke in the second round. I mean, what can you really say? Bermudez kind of showed to be just a superior fighter here. Better striker. He's more technical. He's able to land cleaner. The better wrestler. He stuffed takedowns from Guida. Managed to take Guida down. And this is a better overall grappler. You know, I got a lot of flack for this fight, actually. And for picking Bermudez to win, I was actually kind of a bit shocked about that, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought it was... I didn't think it'd be that close. I just kind of figured that Bermudez was a younger, faster, more athletic Clay Guida, and that's kind of what this fight showed. I mean, it just, He's a younger guy, much more athletic, better in every aspect of the game against Guida. Guida had experience. I read a lot of journalists and whatnot who analyzed the card. I mean, they were saying that Guida's probably on like the downslope of his career. I would tend to agree with that, to be honest with you. I think he can get wins. I don't think he can stay in the top 10. I don't think he beats younger, quicker fighters. I mean, that are coming off the ranks, especially if he can defend his takedowns. I mean, he's not very potent on the feet, to be honest with you. Bermudez showed he's getting better defensively in his stand-up, but he still got tagged with the right hand. He keeps his left hand very low. So he still needs to work on that, but he looks better about it, for sure. I liked one of Bermudez's combo. He went for the, I believe it was like the right hook. No, I think it's a left hook, right leg kick combo. It's a very well-used combo, and he used it well here. So as far as who these guys should get next, I mean, Bermudez, Ricardo Lamas would be a really good fight because Lamas is coming off the win over Hakim Diaz. The returning Korean Zombie, maybe even Frankie Edgar is coming off the win over BJ Penn. With Guida, Hakim Diaz would make sense. Maybe the loser of Poirier versus McGregor. Jeremy Stevens, he's coming off the loss to Cub Swanson. If you want to kind of give Guida someone lower, you can go with the loser of like Max Holloway versus Mirsad Bektic. So they're still good fights for Guida for sure. Next fight after that, Bobby Green defeated Josh Thompson by a split decision. I think this is gonna kind of show something with Josh Thompson. He's either gonna like really good or really, just like meh. Even against Nate Diaz, he looked really good. Even against someone like KJ Noons in Strikeforce, he can just look very average. He looked like a one-dimensional lane prey wrestler against KJ Noons. He won, didn't look good doing it though. In the third fight against Melendez, though, he tends to turn it up against Melendez all the time. Looked good against Benson Henderson, but sometimes Thompson has a problem with very low output. There are rounds where you got to see that here. There's a lot of talking in this fight. Just a lot. They were talking to each other, especially Bobby Green. This fight's really odd for me, just because it came off more like a sparring match, and I can't really say. Like Rogan was harping that, like, oh, this fight shows that Bobby Green can hang at the top of the division. I don't really know if a fight like this really proves that. It just seemed very strange and odd in that sense. It was. I like Bobby Green's movement. He's quick. I like his head movement. He is a good wrestler, and his boxing's much improved. He's getting counter-struck a good amount of times. He seems susceptible to the head kick. And leg kicks in general. So it's tough for me to say if he's ready for the next step up. I don't know. Good win for Green though. I mean, he's gone through all these personal issues. Obviously, there's the death of his brother. And I believe from what I heard is that from a lot of sites, from a lot of sources actually, that he's receiving death threats. And he's moving from house to house. So it really good. Going through all that and getting the win over a guy like Josh Thompson, really good for him. As far as Bobby Green goes, I think he should get Michael Johnson next. Would be probably the best matchup for him. There's a lot of good matchups though. You can give him Jorge Masvidal, Edson Barboza, the winner of Benson Henderson versus Rafa dos Anjos. Heck, you can give him Donald Cerrone. Cerrone fights anyone. Josh Thompson, if he doesn't retire, because he keeps talking about it, you can give him like Darren Cruikshank, who's coming off a loss to Masvidal here. Maybe Jim Miller, who's coming off the loss to Donald Cerrone. Next fight after that, Jorge Masvidal defeated Darren Cruikshank by unanimous decision. Actually, after the fight, I read in an interview that Masvidal called out Donald Cerrone. I like that fight, actually. I think it's a good fight. I think, you know, they were gonna go with Cerrone Nurmagomedov, but I'd say Cerrone Masvidal makes some sense. And like I said, Cerrone will fight anyone anyways. Masvidal versus Bobby Green or Michael Johnson would work as well. So, or Barboza, you know. So there's a lot of good fights for Masvidal here. The way the fight went, I mean, it was kind of typical of Jorge Masvidal. I mean, he gets dropped in the first round. Saw against like Michael Chiesa, to be honest with you. Seen it a couple times actually. He loses the first round, and he kind of wakes up from getting hit hard. He gets up immediately. Darren Cruikshank couldn't really get his kicking game going. Sometimes I notice this a lot with Darren Cruikshank. You know, Adriano Martins, if he pressured a guy, you really take away his kicking game. Even Eve Edwards, even though he lost, I thought he should have won, to be honest. When he pressured Cruikshank had to kind of rely on his hands instead of his feet. You know, you didn't get to see too many crazy spinning strikes, or you see one or two side kicks, but you didn't see that like the extensive amount of them. The other problem with Cruikshank, though, is his grappling still needs a lot of work. Adriano Martins managed to take him down and submit him. Masvidal almost got the Darce choke. And also, I have to say this: fight IQ. This was something kind of similar to what happened to him against James Vick. Cruikshank's best chance of winning was probably in the stand-up. Yet he went for a takedown against a guy in Masvidal who's one notoriously strong scrambler, very underrated wrestler, a guy that's like impossible to keep off his back. I mean, you saw against like Rustam Hobby-Love or like Pat Healy couldn't get Masvidal down. He's just notorious for getting back to his feet when he's taken down and just scrambling really well. I didn't think that was a really good strategy in the third round for Cruikshank to try and take down Masvidal. And going back to the Vic fight, I remember in The Ultimate Fighter, Cruikshank was using a very successful kicking game, leg kicks and whatnot, and all of a sudden he inexplicably goes for a takedown, gets kneed, and KO'd. And it's like, you were doing well in the stand-up. That's your strongest game. Why are you going for grappling now? Why are you wrestling? Same here. Why are you wrestling? It's the third round, arguably 1-1, you know? Cruikshank got the first round, Masvidal got the second. Why are you wrestling? Your best chance of winning, his strength is the stand-up. You know, his best chance of winning would be in the stand-up. Yet he goes for wrestling. You know, it's like some scramble ensues. Cruikshank's on the bottom, Masvidal's on top. Cruikshank can't get back to his feet. Masvidal wins fight. You know? So, that's the thing with Cruikshank. He really needs to get... You know, both these guys kind of have this problem of winning 2 and 3 and then losing 1. Masvidal's getting a lot better about it lately. And his losses, especially as of late, were to like Gilbert Melendez and Rustam Hobby-Love. You know, some really strong competition. Cruikshank's losses in the UFC come to like John McDessie, Adriano Martins, really underrated fighter, by the way, and Jorge Masvidal, very underrated fighter himself. But you know, he's definitely the type of guy that needs like past the hump. I think he can. I think he needs to maybe add something new to his game or something as far as Cruikshank is concerned. It just because yeah, you know, he has a super good kicking game. Stand-up's really dynamic, but I don't know if he just needs to add something. I mean, it's kind of contrary to what I said with the wrestling and whatnot. What I said about the wrestling, but I mean, you know, I don't know, because if this is the way it is with Cruikshank, he's going to win 2 or 3 and lose 1 all the time. You know. With this win with Masvidal, he's going to move up in competition. You know, so this is it. You know, it's like it's pretty much more or less probably the top 10 now. Maybe he'll still stick with 11 to 15 and fight someone like a Barboza or something like that. But you know, he called out Cerrone as a top 10. He can get like a Bobby Green or Michael Johnson or something like that. There's a lot of good fights for him, but it looks like it's probably the top 10 for him here on out. Next fight after that, Patrick Cummins beat Kyle Kingsbury by unanimous decision. Scorecards 30-27, 30-25, and 30-24. Kingsbury announced his retirement after this fight, and that makes total sense. The guy gets beat up a lot. You know, he got beat up by Jimmy Manuwa, Fabio Maldonado. He gets beat up a lot, and probably should retire. Cummins, you know, I mean, he's 32-33. I don't know if he's going to be a totally well-rounded fighter, but he is a good wrestler and has good ground and pound. That's what he showed in this fight. Joe Rogan kept harping on him getting the finish. Didn't get the finish, unfortunately. He probably could have. Just didn't, though. You know, Cummins, one of the better, I guess you can call him an up-and-comer in the division. Goes to show how thin the division is. Cummins, though, gets probably like a Jimmy Manuwa, even though he's coming off a loss. I think a Leo Latifi would be a good next fight for him. Or, you know, Nikita Krylov, even. He's coming off a win over Cody Donovan. Next fight after that, Tim Means defeated Hernani Perpetua by unanimous decision. Perpetua showed too much to be of a brawler. Then he broke his hand, and Means just really took over. Means showed to be a lot more patient in this fight as well. He landed the more effective strikes, especially in the second and third round, where Perpetua was kind of hitting air after a while too. Yeah, it's a good win for Means. He needed it, but as far as his future prospects go, you know, I used to think of him as a pretty good prospect, but lately he's kind of showing to be a, like, I don't know about gatekeeper, but you know, just, he lost to Neil Magny before this fight. It's like, I can't really call him much of a prospect anymore. That's the thing. I don't know where to really place him. Solid mid-level guy, I suppose, you know. Perpetua, 2 losses in a row. I don't know if he gets cut because they are keeping a lot of fighters these days. Both these guys should just get more lower to mid-tier of their division. Next fight after that, Brian T-City Ortega defeated Mike De La Torre by rear naked choke in the first round. Watch out for T-City, man. I like this guy, you know. Remember watching him on RFA, and I was like, yeah, this guy's the guy. You know, good prospect, only 23 years old. Legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Still need to work on his striking. Still needs to work on his wrestling. Guess what, though? Trains out of Black House. You know? There's guys like younger guys, too. Like Mutasri that fights out of Black House. I know Kevin Casey trains out of there. And a lot of Brazilian fighters train out of the Black House as well. So, you know, he's just gonna improve. I like what I saw from the guy. Got a quick finish here. De La Torre showed to be pretty good against Mark Bocek, even though he lost. But, you know, this is a quick loss. 2 losses in a row. Don't know if they keep him. It's more lower to mid-tier guys at the division, though, for them. Excuse me. Now on to the UFC Fight Pass prelims. Thiago Trator. His name is actually Thiago dos Santos de Silva. We'll just call him Thiago Trator. Defeated Akbar Ariola by unanimous decision. Trator actually said that he's going to be fighting in featherweight in his next bout. So, you know, I think that's fair enough. I liked what I saw out of Trator. You know, he showed some good hands, decent counter punching. Had a hard time taking down Ariola, but, you know, still a prospect. still steadily improving. You know, there's not much I can really say about the fight. I liked Ariela's kicks. I liked his facial expressions as well. But there wasn't really much I can say about this fight. You know, both these guys should just fight more lower to mid-tier guys of their division. Nice fight like that. Gilbert Burns defeated Andreas Stahl by unanimous decision. I like as far as prospects go, both these guys showed to be pretty good prospects. Gilbert Burns is actually primarily Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. You know, he's has a lot of awards and accolades there. But man, his striking under Henry Hooft and the Black Zillions looks really good for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, man. I gotta say, I would not have thought he was a Jiu-Jitsu guy actually. Watching this fight, yeah. Andreas Stahl, his striking still needs some work. He kind of went to the same combo a lot of times. Tough to take down, tough to hold down though. I believe he trains at All Stars, if I'm not mistaken. Good prospect, you know, both these guys. Gilbert Burns is said he's going to cut down from welterweight to lightweight. What I heard is that he has a hard time making lightweight, but let's see if he can make it consistently. You know, I liked what I saw from Burns on the feet. He threw combinations pretty well against Stahl. You know, relatively high output. You know, it's something you'd like to see from a guy who has less than 10 fights. Just kind of showed a pretty well-rounded game. And both these guys look pretty good. I'm looking forward to seeing what both these guys have to offer. Just more lower to mid-tier guys of the divisions that they fight in. Okay, I can't pronounce the name. Joanna Jerezic. I'll just say Jerezic because I don't know the name. I've actually seen the way it's phonetically supposed to be said, but I always forget it. I'll just say Jerezic. Defeated Juliana Lima by unanimous decision. Lima, you know, just kind of burnt everything out in the first round. Really tried to get the takedown on Joanna, and Joanna just defended it. Say this about strawweights: the female strawweights, skill-wise, are far superior to female bantamweights, especially in striking. You watch the Claudia Gadelha versus Tina Ladamaki fight. Ladamaki only had 5 fights coming into UFC. You know, Gadelha has less than 10. One thing I'll say, I mean, they're not like these great technical strikers, but they also don't, you know, have that for real punch like a girl thing. You know, where you kind of see this like extremely sloppy type of striking. You know, that's like, you know, it looks like it's like punching like a girl per se. You didn't see that here. You didn't see that in the last strawweight fight. You know, and Joanna, man, combinations, body punching, use of a jab. You know, really fast hands. I really like what I see from her. You know, defended takedowns well, and just has some really fast hands. I think she's primed to be a top 5 strawweight. Really looking forward to seeing what she can do in the division. I think she's a future title challenger and someone to watch out for, you know. Well, not too many fights. You know, there's only 2 strawweight fights that happened. So I guess you can go with Joanna Jerezic versus Claudia Gadelha, and Juliana Lima can fight Tina Ladamaki. Unless they wait on the Ultimate Fighter, you know. Otherwise, great stuff technically. From a technical level, the female strawweights look really good. Surprisingly, in the striking department, usually with female fighters, you see that they're behind in striking. But, you know, lately, especially female strawweights, you're seeing some really good striking from them. And finally, Nawad Lahat defeated Steven Seiler by unanimous decision. There was some really good grappling exchange, especially with the way Lahat got the triangle choke. Couldn't quite finish Seiler. He's just a really tough guy. He's proven to be in the UFC. Seiler's shown to be a very tough guy. He even took Lahat's back, you know, and put him in danger. You know, I think what really stood out probably was the post-fight interview with Lahat, talking about how he has to fight, be a soldier in Brazil pretty much right after this fight, you know. It's a really cool interview. It really got me behind Lahat. Good luck to him. You know, it's just, but as far as the fight goes, you know, with Lahat, striking wise, I thought Seiler got the better of the striking, but I thought the overall grappling went to Lahat. Seiler at times can be a little too content off his back as well. But I think this is like 2 losses or a couple losses in a row for Seiler. I think they're going to keep him. He's really proven to be a very game opponent. One of those guys that's worth keeping around, even though he's coming off a losing streak. With Lahat, you know, I don't know when he's coming back. You know, like I said, good luck to him. That's pretty much it for my post-fight analysis for UFC on Fox 12. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.